everybody, and welcome back to We Need to Talk. I'm your host, Chuck Oliveris. It's been a couple of weeks. We're a little over 2 weeks, but we're back with more fun stuff to talk about here in the old podcast. We're waiting for snow here in North Carolina. There's a possibility to get some snow on the ranch here tonight, but we'll have to wait and see what happens in the morning. It's not typical to get it here. If we get it, probably very lightly, but it'd be nice to wake up and see a little white all over the trees and everything here. And it's a really cold night. So let's see what happens. Hopefully we'll get some here. Hey, a couple of weeks ago, I did a podcast and I was talking about a documentary I saw on Hulu, and I recommended it to y'all. And it was about what they're terming as frogging now. And again, just to tell you what frogging is, a frogger is someone who is living in your home with you that you are unaware of. Someone living in a crawl space, an attic, behind a wall, under the stairs, in some cases in the basement, etc. I covered a bunch of stories, did a whole podcast about it, and showed some film from some folks that had a CCTV system in their house, where one guy was at the top of the stairs, going up to the bedroom, staring down at them while they were sleeping on the couch watching a movie. So the frogging thing is really kind of a creepy thing, and I covered it in that podcast, but there's one particular story that came up from some folks recently, and I had to put it into my phone while I was driving when I heard it because I wanted to share it with you. One more frogging story that's kind of creepy, right? Check this out. So these folks here, it was a husband and wife with an apartment. They kept having things come up missing like some of the other stories we heard. Then the wife found a pair of women's boots that were not hers. She tells her husband, obviously, somebody's been in our apartment because these are not my boots. And I've never seen them before. After a little investigation and checking the house, they heard a wheezing sound in the bedroom after they were laying down all night. And when they looked under the bed, someone was lying under it. They freaked out, ran out, called the cops, and when the cops came, they walked back into the house with the police. A very tall female with stringy hair, dressed in all black, was standing there with the boots in the living room. She tried to run and hide in the closet, but the police grabbed her and handcuffed her. Apparently, she is an unstable female, and they were familiar with her because she had been found in other places before. After she was in custody, they went back to search the bedroom and found a hypodermic needle under the bed with one of their largest kitchen knives from the kitchen, where she had been lying under there and stabbing the mattress from underneath, because there was fabric all over the floor from her stabbing the mattress that they were lying on all night. Apparently, she had been there for several days inside the apartment. This is what I'm talking about. Is that not freaky? So the frogger thing is a real thing. And if you want to watch the doc, it's still on Hulu, I think. Super interesting and super, super creepy. And talking about documentaries, I'm obsessed with one right now. And it's called, I think it's called Eye on Evil or See No Evil. It's on Hulu. There's probably like 16 seasons of this, right? One of the reasons I'm obsessed with it a little bit is because I used to be in security for years, and I used to have to view CCTV footage for crimes and things like that, shootings and things that had happened, to try and find out who did what. And that's kind of what this show is all about, how the murder investigators use CCTV from businesses in towns on the street so they can follow the cars, from door cameras that people have in the neighborhoods, and how that assists them in solving these crimes and stuff. And again, I think it's called See No Evil. I think that's what it is on Hulu. But in any case, it's interesting because on that particular documentary, I swear to you, no lie, almost every episode, they end up following a killer and tracking him to Walmart. In almost every episode, the killer went into Walmart to purchase the things they needed to do the kill or for whatever crime they were going to commit, like buy a hatchet, zip ties, duct tape, all this crap. Almost every episode, these guys are in Walmart, and they end up using the camera footage from Walmart and the receipt from where they purchased the stuff. mean, all that. But it just was cracking me up because I was telling Dalton today in the car, I said, imagine how many times we go to Walmart. All of us go to Walmart. And you're probably in there with a serial killer or a killer of some kind. First of all, if they're buying zip ties and duct tape and hatchets and things like that, I would hope that they're mixing it up with a couple steaks or something else, because if it's just that, wouldn't you kind of be like, wow, what's this guy doing with all this stuff? So really, really weird. If you're into the murder docs and things like that, this one's really good, really interesting and fun to watch. But I thought it was crazy how they all end up at Walmart buying their stuff. Really, really weird. We have some stuff in pop news this week. Not so good and some good stuff. So let's do that, shall we? Pop news. Episode 53, We Need to Talk. So we had all that stuff going on with Nick Reiner and Rob Reiner and his wife, their son murdering them. It's been all over the news for the last couple of weeks while we've been gone. It's kind of toned down a little bit. But here's something interesting that happened probably a week and a half ago. Daughter of actor Tommy Lee Jones was found deceased in a San Francisco hotel, according to TMZ. So this hit the news. First of all, Tommy Lee Jones, one of my favorite actors of all time. Two roles that stick out to me. He's great and everything, but two roles that stick out to me where I just loved his performance was when he played Loretta Lynn's husband in the biography that Sissy Spacek did about Loretta Lynn called Coal Miner's Daughter years ago. He played Dew, her husband, and he was really, really good in that. And of course, nobody can deny his performance as the U.S. Marshal in the movie Fugitive with the great Harrison Ford. So Tommy Lee Jones, great actor. He's getting up there in age. Really sad thing, though, about his daughter here. So the Fairmont Hotel, if you don't know, is in San Francisco, and it is like a 4-star hotel. It's beautiful. It's been there for years, top of Nob Hill. And that's my old neck of the woods I grew up in. And so when I heard this, I was like, wow. And she was at the Fairmont Hotel. So specifics on this are, according to TMZ, Victoria Jones, 34 years old, was found inside the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco. It says here early Thursday morning. Again, this was like a week and a half ago at 2:52 a.m. by San Francisco Fire Department paramedics, and she was pronounced dead at the scene. Now, the San Francisco Police Department said their officers responded to a hotel located at the 900 block of Mason Street at 3:14 a.m. on New Year's Day regarding the report of a dead person. The Fairmont Hotel, located on Mason, SFPD did not identify the deceased person, only saying officers met with medics and confirmed an adult woman had died. Turned out to be Tommy's daughter. Police said the medical examiner arrived on the scene and conducted an investigation. The cause of death at this time had not been released. According to People magazine, Victoria began acting at a very young age, appearing first in the Men in Black Part 2 in 2002, and in 2005 she did a film called The Three Boroughs, Molescawades, Estrada, something like that, which was directed by her father, Tommy Lee Jones. She also appeared in an episode of One Tree Hill. So 34 years old. What ended up happening, we found out, was she OD'd. So we're talking about Nick Reiner and some of these children that were born to celebrities with a lot of money and a lifestyle like that. And it's sad. I mean, we all know the Robert Downey Jr. story. Thank God he was able to pull himself back into life. And he was probably one of the worst stories of all. And he did it. So it's really sad when you hear about this. And I was really sad to hear about it for Tommy Lee because he's up there in age now. He doesn't do a lot anymore. I miss seeing him, but definitely a sad thing for him and his family, which I was kind of bummed to hear about. So our condolences to Tommy Lee Jones and his family, and hope the best for them. That's a rough one to deal with. So kind of a sad story. Also in pop news, one of the biggest things everybody's been talking about for weeks was the final finale of Stranger Things. That's right, guys. Stranger Things. The Hawkins crew finally defeated Vecna on the final episode and destroyed the Upside Down with a massive explosion, closing the rift, but potentially sacrificing Eleven in the process. Though her fate is left ambiguous, with some sources suggesting she dies and others implying she survives. After the battle, an 18-month time jump reveals Hopper and Joyce getting engaged, Max and Lucas together, Will finding love in college, and the gang's final bittersweet moment as they pass their D&D game to a younger generation, ending the series on a note of closure and new beginnings for the characters. So here's the thing. In my opinion, one of the greatest shows that's ever been on TV. Netflix must have crashed 1,000 times every time the new episode came leading up to this final episode of the whole thing. Thing you got to remember is like these kids were young when they started this. They were like 12 years old when they started this. Finn Wolfhard there with the sunglasses on was talking about how he was 12 years old when he started that show and he had no friends in real life. And now, of course, he's got a million friends. The cast is very close. Apparently, he's the one that keeps all the glue together. All the other cast members and kids say that when they're not shooting, and they won't be anymore, of course, he's the one that texts everybody and says, hey, this is what I'm doing today. What are you guys doing? Just to keep everybody in the loop and stuff. But here's what I want to tell you. People tore this episode apart when they watched it. Literally tore it apart. Well, why did they do this? And why did they do that? And they should have done that. Leave it alone, man. I thought it was great. Most of the hardcore fans thought it was great. Really hard to watch and sad because you're so vested in a show like that. That show was like a movie every time it came on. So you were really into it. You were really into the characters. And if you watched it from the beginning, it was important to you. So when this final episode came and we get toward the end, the military's there at the end, and there's like, they're in between where 11 is in the void and they're all outside the void looking through the round hole at her staying in the void instead of running out with them. And they realize she's not going to come because she's trying to sacrifice herself for the good of everything. But what a scene, man. It was like, when you see Mike looking at her and she's still in the void and then he's screaming her name, 11, 11. And then he runs back into the void and they have this long monologue, which leads to her explaining to him why she has to stay and that she loves him. And then the Prince song, Purple Rain, comes on and they start flashing back to the kids from day one when they met 11, etc. Dude, it was like, oh my God, what are you doing to us? Super, super sad. Great ending. And it just was like really, really hard to watch. And of course, it's still all over social media. They're showing clips of it all the time. One thing I will tell you, if you're a huge fan of the show, you have got to catch the making of the last final episode that we all just watched that I'm talking about. You can do that on Netflix. I think it's called The Making of Stranger Things last episode. Watch that. You'll see the cast. You'll see how they shot it, what they had to do. It was amazing. The sets were amazing. The stories were amazing. And you actually get to see the actors saying goodbye and realizing that it's finally all over. Really, really, really sad. Okay, moving on. So we all came out here from California, from Three Rivers, California, right outside of Sequoia National Park. After 15 years living up in that little town with all these wonderful, wonderful people that are dear, dear friends of ours now. And we really, really miss them. So what I want to tell you as a tourist, if you are a tourist and you plan on visiting the Sequoia National Park, you're going to go through that little town of Three Rivers. And there's going to be a couple places that are the hub. The first one is the Riverview Grill and Bar. And the golf course is another one, Ard Farkel's Bar and Restaurant. And then you have the Gateway, which is just outside of the entrance to the park, which is also fine dining and a bar in there. But here's what I want to tell you. If you're a tourist and you're going to go visit that park, you're probably going to end up eating at one of these places. And you may see one of these people right here. If you do, run like hell. I'm just kidding. Shall I introduce you to some of my dear friends? Down there in the bottom with the glasses is our friend Chris Hange. She is about to be a grandmother for the first time. Very excited. Next to her in the red is our friend Beth Jones, famous bartender up there in Three Rivers I used to bartend with. You can run into her bartending at the Riverview Grill and Bar and also at Art Farkle's at the golf course. Next to her is Mama D with her tongue hanging out. That's Mama D. That's Deanna. I almost said Hendricks. We call her Mama D, but that's Heaton, Mama Heaton right there. Next to her with glasses is Jill Griffin with the blonde hair there, and then that little gal with the beanie in the back is our friend Dinky. And they are some crazy women. I want you to study their faces. Look at them closely. Because if you're going to visit the park, you're going to eat at one of those places, and you're going to recognize them. And you should probably go up and say hi. We can tell them that you saw their picture on Chuck's podcast. We need to talk. They'll understand. Here's Beth and Jill constantly sending me pictures, telling me how they miss us. And Jill is the big tequila fan there. She'll do those shots of tequila with you. If you run into her, buy her one. She will drink it. They're crazy women, and they like to have fun. So just know, if you're headed up that way, beware of these gals right here, and you will probably end up very intoxicated. That's the crew. They're gnarly. Love those gals. Love it. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of go over some of the crazy stories that made the news over the last 2 weeks while we were gone. First of all, the peanut butter man. This is interesting. Police at Purdue University investigated reports of a man walking around campus completely covered in peanut butter, suspected to be a bizarre hazing prank. It probably was a hazing prank, because who's going to do that? I'm hoping it was a hazing prank. But can you imagine some guy walking around with peanut butter smeared all over his body on the campus there? You know, and you're sitting out on the lawn having lunch. Hey, come here, dude. Let me get a little bit of that peanut butter with my favorite. So weird, right? This is also crazy, right? The 46-year-old overdue book. A California library had a book returned that was nearly 46 years overdue. Here's what's crazy. Back in those days, they didn't even have technology to keep track of like inventory and stuff like that. But you know that libraries are very organized, right? The little file cards. They even had the little fish things you could look at on a machine. So it amazes me, but doesn't amaze me to know that they knew that book was overdue for 46 years. Remember when you were in school and you get your school books and your sister might be in a class ahead of you or something, and then you get that math book and look in the back because you'd have to put your name in it. And you'd be like, oh, Rico had this book before me. Oh, my sister had it in 87 or whatever. So it's just interesting because even back in those days, the library still kept track tediously of their books and stuff. They'd have to know that that book was 46 years overdue from being returned, right? That's crazy. Other notable, strange, and funny headlines. Here we go. A goat was detained in Washington for trying to break into a retirement community. A goat was trying to break into a retirement community. Bullshit. Okay, so I'm guessing the goat got loose from a farm near the retirement community and made its way through the gated guard shack or something, and they had to go address it. So, and that's one of those news stories where you hear it and you go, man, the news must have been slow this week. Here's a better one. A Florida man was arrested for trying to stay inside of a Walmart for 24 hours as a part of a TikTok challenge. Okay, this is not unusual. This is old now. Because back in the day, I was a director of security at a mall in Central California. And we had a couple who stayed in the mall and hid after we closed the mall at night so that they could film it for their YouTube channel. And at that time, a lot of people were doing this. They were trying to stay in the Walmart or stay in a fast food place, whatever, film it, and then it was a trend thing that was going on. So that's kind of old news, and I wouldn't be surprised someone was trying to stay in a Walmart because, dude, in a Walmart, you got everything you want. Tents, pillows, blankets, right? So that one doesn't surprise me so much. I thought that was kind of a weird story. Here's another one. A Swedish soccer player kept a ball in the air for over 28 hours to break a world record. Dude, can you imagine how they bounce it off their knee? Boom, 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 for 28 hours. 28 hours of doing that. That is a lot of cardio. I can't even walk to my mailbox out here. You know what I mean? 28 hours keeping a ball in the air with your knees. Give me a break. Maybe we should try it and do it on here sometime. There's an interesting one, an emu arrest. A Florida deputy had to use handcuffs to secure a runaway emu that was causing trouble. So when I read this, I was like, fuck, what's an emu? And I kept seeing camel in my head, a camel. So I'll look it up and look at the emu, and I should have done it before the podcast tonight. But so my thought was, no, not a camel. I was an emu. I kept seeing an ostrich, probably because of Dude, Where's My Car? But I kept seeing an ostrich. So I'm not sure what an emu is, but I feel like it's close to an ostrich. And then I thought, where did they put the handcuffs to secure this thing until somebody could come and get it around its neck or what? I just thought that was really, really interesting. So we've got another one here. It says, Are You Dead? And this is an app. Due to rising numbers of people living alone, a new and blunt-named safety app called Are You Dead became the most downloaded in China before the makers changed the name to something less shocking. So it's supposed to be a safety app that keeps track of you, right? And I guess it was called Are You Dead? I think that's being a little bit brutal, isn't it? You're like, oh, they didn't call me. Are you dead? If I was dead, would I be able to tell you? I wonder how long they kept it called that until they changed the name. And plus, I want to know what the new name is, don't you? Anti-smoking doors. Look at this. A Chinese shopping center installed special bathroom doors that turn transparent when they detect smoke, with signs warning that smokers will become internet famous. You're in the stall, you're smoking, all of a sudden, boop, the thing goes clear and everybody can see you sitting there. Oh, shit. I think that's brilliant, right? Talk about busting. That can't be good. Imagine that happening to you. Impersonator fail. A man in New Zealand was arrested for attempting to pull over an unarmed police car using flashlights on his own station wagon. That's just the world's stupidest people, right? You're going to pull somebody over and it turns out to be an unmarked police officer. Back in the day, they had these little lights you could put, and they even had an app on your phone that would have red and blue lights, and you'd stick it in your window and people would pull over for you. But I don't know if you really want to be doing that all the time. Because guess what? It's illegal. Although what's illegal anymore, right? In this day and age, the way everything's going, I don't think it's illegal to do anything. And I don't want to get too into that because that'll be a whole nother tangent. And I ain't trying to do all that tonight. You know what I mean? It's time to look at some funny memes. It's the meme time. Yeah. So I always try and collect some funny memes when I see them over the 2 weeks we're in between episodes. I don't try and grab everything because I see the stuff that we're all seeing over and over and over again. I try and grab ones that kind of tickle me and I think are funny that not as many people have seen. This might be a little political, but not political. I just thought it was kind of funny. The first one says, when someone tells me they're Christian, I ask, are you classic Jesus or Republican Jesus? I know. Don't get all pissed off. It's just all in good humor. But makes sense all the same, if you know what I mean. This one says, adult weekends are a scam. On Friday, you clock out at 5, collapse like a broken lawn chair. On Saturday, you do errands, chores, and pretend you're productive. And on Sunday, it's just one long panic attack until Monday. I can vouch for this because it doesn't matter. Some folks have split days off. Dalton's days off are split, which sometimes I used to think that was cool. You work a day, you got a day off, you go back to work. But that 2 days off in a row is really nice to have. But then that Monday comes and you just do nothing but lay in bed, dreading going to work the next day because it's Monday. So I can kind of relate to that. I kind of get that one. I thought this one was hilarious. Everybody talking about the Epstein files, still bringing it up. They were supposed to be released. They never released all of them. And that's because they're still working on making sure they are able to be released. Look, here's Pam Bondi getting those files ready for the public. Tell you one thing, she better wash those damn hands before she goes to the dinner table. You know that's a good one. Let's look at it again. I love it. Yeah, there you are, you stupid. Yeah. I thought this one was funny too. Discover modern backyard apartments designed for comfortable, independent living. See how smart layouts and private spaces are challenging the way people live at home. So you see what this is, right? It's basically, it says new backyard apartments. Take a peek inside. First of all, you see the old lady on the stoop there. Okay. My mother used to say before she passed, she wanted to come live with me. She said, no, maybe I can have an old mother-in-law's cottage or whatever and stuff. And my mother had a great sense of humor. I used to tell her, Mother, if you come live with me, I will smother you with a pillow in the dead of night. It's not really mean. My mother knew what I meant. It's hilarious. What cracks me up about this, though, is look, it's that little old lady, and they're trying to say a modern backyard apartment. That's a she shed, and it's got a little AC unit, and they're basically telling you, hey, put your old ass mother in this thing in the backyard. It won't be so bad. Check it out. Get yourself one of those. This one killed me when I saw it. I almost fell off my chair. I thought it'd be good to share with you guys. I think you find it pretty funny. Feeling old? Remember the young girl from the Learn to Fly music video by Foo Fighters? Well, this is her now. And in case you don't know and you're not in the loop, that's Dave Grohl, the leader of the Foo Fighters. Yeah, that's her now. You want to watch for her. This one killed me. We'll see if you like it as much as I did. Like I said, some of the memes just call to me, and I'm like, I must share that one. And this was one of them for sure. So you got John Denver, Willie Nelson in the back seat, and Kenny Loggins driving the car. And you got John Denver singing Country Road to the Danger Zone. And then Kenny Loggins says, Highway to the Danger Zone. And then Willie chimes in with, fellas, I don't care which route we take. I just can't wait to get on the road again. I know. I still love that song too. I really, really do. I think it's a great song. That's a good one though, isn't it? Willie just wants to get on the road again. Not as good as this meme right here. Are you ready for this one? Let's do it. There you go. Pardon me, but when did David Lee Roth become Dr. Smith from Lost in Space? Oh, William, the Jupiter 2 is going to crash. Oh, William. Dude, he looks like Dr. Smith. Some of you people are just too young to remember Lost in Space, but that cracks me up because he really looks like him. I wish Cousin Matt was on there. I tried to get him to jump on the podcast tonight, but he's actually working, doing the train thing with Pacific Railroad. He's coming back, though. The next podcast, probably in the next 2 weeks, we're going to have Matto back on here. We'll have another Mexican word of the day, maybe 2, maybe 3, because I love when he does those. And we'll talk about some other really funny shit. Always better when the Matto is on with me, Cousin Matto. Here's a nice little meme from Jaws. You've got Merry Quintmas and a Hopper New Year to every Brody. Chief Brody from Jaws. I wish I would have had that one at Christmas time. I would have put it up. Jaws is one of my favorite movies. Also, a documentary running on, might be Hulu or Netflix, on the making of Jaws, Steven Spielberg and all that. And that's great too. So there's one person I really, really hate. Used to like him, don't like him anymore. And that's why I'm going to share this meme, because I just think he's all tore up, bro. You tell me what you think. This is a great meme, though. Check this out. At Kid Rock, Kennedy Center's new headline performer. Look at this dude. Look at his titties and his gloves. Yeah, Kid Rock at the Kennedy Center. Get your tickets now. Please. Washed up. Nobody wants to see him anymore. At least I don't. Okay, here's something I wanted to bring up. I wanted to make sure I didn't do this podcast tonight without bringing this up, because Anne Heche is an old actress I used to love. She's been in a million things, and she died a really weird death a couple of years ago. And it was crazy because she went through a lot of stuff, okay? You may remember her as Ellen's, I don't know if she was married to Ellen. She was Ellen's girlfriend. She was Ellen's first girlfriend that we all knew about before she married Portia de Rossi. And then she had the Ellen show and all that. But here she is with Anne Heche. There's the actress there. Do you guys remember? This is what I want to know. So there was first an incident with her in LA where she was losing her shit. And I don't know why. And I didn't hear anything about drugs. I mean, nobody knew what the hell was going on with her. There was one incident with her where she ended up on somebody's front lawn, sitting there Indian fashion, and was trying to stay with the people for the night and trying to talk them into letting her stay there. And they called the cops, and they had to come get Anne and get her off their lawn and so forth. But here's the weird thing. So like years later, she's driving around through Los Angeles or something, and she crashes her car into a house, which then catches fire. The car catches fire, I think is what it was. Here's the thing I want to know if you guys remember, because this was really freaky, and I'm going to show you a picture, an aerial picture, because the news had choppers above and everything. So the paramedics got into the car, and they pulled her from the car, and they said she was deceased. They put her in a body bag, zipped it up, and started rolling it into the back of the ambulance. Here's an aerial view right here. Here's what's creepy. That is her unzipping it after they had called her deceased and zipped it all the way up. That is her unzipping the body bag and actually sitting up and saying something to the fire guy. And dude, this was like the weirdest. Look at this. Look at this. And you know what they did? You see that guy going to grab her arm right there? He grabbed her, laid her back down, and they rolled her into the ambulance, and you never heard anything about it again. They said a little bit about it because they're like, why did she sit up like that? And they tried to blow it off with some kind of medical thing where sometimes people are still, even though they're deceased, they can still do things for a few minutes. And that's what they kind of explained it off as being, oh my God, dude. So can you imagine they zip your ass up in one of those things and you're like, hell no, motherfucker, I ain't dead. I mean, that's crazy. And I thought that was really, really sad because I really liked her. She was in a lot of great movies and stuff. And so I just want to see how many people remembered that Anne Heche thing. I'm going to ask Matto about that when he comes on the podcast on the next episode, because I'm sure he remembers when this happened. Everybody was really freaked out by it. Hey, one more thing about Stranger Things. This is what people are saying, and I didn't really think about it this way, but I want to read this to you. Somebody put this up on social media. It says, very few people are talking about this, but if you look back, especially with the final episode of Stranger Things, you will see that this entire show was based on mental health. What the show is showing you is it's okay to step into the cave and face your past traumas. It's okay to find someone to talk to about it. Do not harbor your trauma. Do not allow your trauma to fester in your mind. It will grow. It will make you a miserable person. Get the help you deserve. Go into a cave, face it, step out of the cave, see that the world is a beautiful place and you deserve every bit of all the good it has to offer. I never thought about it that way. I never thought that that was kind of the underlying thing of the show. I still don't know whether I do or not, but I thought that was interesting to share with you since so many people watched it. And again, I recommend watching the making of the final episode of Stranger Things. Here's a little tip for you before we leave tonight. Just want to make sure that you have some resources. Let's stop focusing on Trump and start harassing those in power who are doing nothing to stop him. So there's your phone number for Congress. Call 202-224-3121. That's 202-224-3121. Now, I haven't called it yet, but I'm going to, and I'll let you know what they said. It's probably going to be somebody going, this line is no longer in service. I thought that was interesting, though, and I want to know how many people actually did it. Supposedly a legitimate phone number to Congress, so maybe we should all get on the horn. That's all I'm saying. Getting scary. A little bit of life advice here. I thought this was kind of cool. I'm going to share it with you before we leave tonight. It says, why silence makes people uncomfortable. And it says, silence removes their ability to control the narrative. They can't twist your words if you don't speak. They can't provoke a reaction if you don't respond. Silence forces people to sit with their own behavior. That's why they call you cold. You're not cold. You're just no longer feeding their chaos. Ooh. Pretty good advice, isn't it? I got a big mouth, so I need to follow that silence thing. And I find that when you're in a group and things are hitting the fan, you are kind of better off just observing and sitting there. I need to be more like Dalton and just kind of be an observer. Keeps you out of trouble, and then you don't get so upset, and your AFib heart like mine won't get all crazy and stuff. I'm just saying any little bit of anything to make life better is probably a good thing right now. Cousin Matto coming back next week on the podcast, or in the next 2 weeks. And we're going to have some more fun. This is We Need to Talk. I'm Chuck Oliveris. We'll see you soon.